Right, I think I'm gonna go and record a YouTube video now.
You have likely heard of the 5 a.m. routine morning routines, maybe even The Rock's 4 a.m. routine. But have you ever heard of someone waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning? Keep watching and let me explain how waking up at 3 a.m. changed my view on productivity. It's currently 3:30 at the moment. Now, I know that's going to sound crazy. Seriously, I told some people about what I've been doing and they've just thought, what the hell? Why are you waking up at like 3:30, 3:30 in the morning? So let me explain. A couple of weeks ago, I was learning from a course about how to do more effective deep work. This is from a very successful YouTuber. The video explained about how he woke up at 3 a.m. and then went into bed at 8 p.m. It was an extreme work series where all he did was focus on work. You do nothing but work. That's the whole idea of it. No social commitments or anything else. You just wake up, go to your computer, and just work straight away. So what did I do after seeing the video? I decided I was going to do this straight away. This was around 5 p.m. in the evening, so I hadn't really finished my stuff like making my dinner and everything else. So I had to quickly finish the videos, get my dinner finished. The advice was actually that you shouldn't have meals after 2 p.m., although I didn't follow that. I just went straight into it. And surprisingly, I was able to do this despite the fact it was my first time and I had very little sleep. The irony of this, though, on the day was that I was part of a self-development group and I wanted to just Discord them and tell them what I was doing. And then interestingly, one of the other person in the group was saying about how they wanted 8 hours of sleep. So I was laughing for quite a few minutes after I read that. And like I say, I didn't actually plan this. So even though I was exhausted and it was a really hot day that particular day, I still went and moved some stuff for an event I had to commit to. And then I also got through a checklist really fast. So I actually ran out of things to do. But the next times I did do this, it became a lot easier. There were clearer expectations of what to do with my time, and sleep became easier just because I got in a routine of. Now, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position to do this. However, other people may not have that kind of luxury to prioritize going to bed really early. The big thing, however, though, is if you do this, your productivity is going to skyrocket. There's something weird about waking up really early and having no one disturb you that makes getting stuff done really easy. I'm surprised by how many tasks I've been able to complete just by changing my routine to 3 a.m. Normally, I'll wake up at around 5 or 6, but there's just something different mentally about when you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You don't really get that temptation to doom scroll. No one's up, so you're not really going to talk to anyone unless you're talking to someone in another country, and you just focus on your goals. For me, I love UX design and research, so it's perfect. I can just sit down, work on the script, and learn new ways to edit. Randomly, I did one day go to the gym at 3:30 just to see what it would be like. There were actually people there, which is just crazy. The more I looked into it also, there is some science, because I did mention this to my coach, and he brought up a point about chronotypes and wondered if this was even possible, and it turns out it is. There are some situations where if you're a night owl, this routine works better if you stay up at 6 a.m. and then wake up at 11. Although I understand why that's not going to work for people. Like I say, this is very much situated to your circumstances. I have this general belief that the body can adapt to many different situations you put it in. A lot of my mindset comes from wanting the user needs to succeed and become global. So waking up and working on it, this doesn't actually feel like a chore to me. Now, it's recommended that you do get 8 hours of sleep, but equally, when you look at some of the most successful people, many of them were not actually getting huge amounts of sleep. It's interesting because there's lots of different popular advice, like from Andrew Huberman, about how you should get more sleep. But then if you actually look at a lot of successful people in more depth, you realize that their sleep patterns were not always what you would expect. There is an impact on social life when you do this, but surprisingly, I managed to keep my social life, just as I haven't got to the point where I'm doing the extreme version of this, where you do this every day and you just commit to work. I already committed to responsibilities months ago, like looking after some kids at a camp last week. So Last week I was only able to do this routine once. However, if you do decide to try this, one thing you're going to have to consider is the sacrifices you're willing to put in, like your social life, your gym, your hobbies, and any other kind of commitments. The extreme version of this routine is that you just completely cut off these aspects, literally do nothing but just work. However, I haven't reached that level yet. I will say it does, however, seem to be working really well. Genuinely, my thoughts also seem to be a lot less negative. I seem to just be able to operate on just thinking about the work. Even just from doing all this research, I came up with a new idea for a UX video that I'm going to shoot in the future. That wouldn't have happened, honestly, if I hadn't have just woken up earlier and been researching through an entire website to find something else. But yeah, if I do try this, sorry to anyone if you just randomly see me disappear and you just start seeing multiple uploads on YouTube. It's interesting because distractions, as I mentioned before, when you do this, I don't know if it's just the fact that you've got less sleep to operate, so your brain starts reducing down the unnecessary thoughts. Because when I do this, all I can think about is just the work and the ideas that are going to come into doing the business. There is a huge sacrifice to this. You know, you're going to have to remove a lot of things from your life. But then at the same time, I also think you get so much closer to your goals and you get so much closer to them a lot faster. Now, in truth, I've not had as many things to commit to as probably other people do. So I probably would be running this extreme version if I didn't have some of the stuff that I said yes to ages ago. But, you know, I really am enjoying the days when I am doing 3am and seeing the progress. There's probably a thought that you're thinking, which is, aren't you just going to burn out from doing this? And it's actually explained in the video course about how most people don't actually reach true burnout. And then if you do reach into burnout, you just drop it back a few percentage. Because realistically, there is going to be a limit on how much work you can do before you do actually burn out. But then you can also just adjust in accordance to how much you've done. And then if it's too much, you can just take it back a little bit. But yeah, no, generally there's no breaks when you're doing this as well. Like the only breaks I really take are literally just to have some water, shower, and then just, you know, go to a toilet break. But yeah, I definitely think I will be continuing this routine because it's been so good, but there are some things I've already planned with trips and other events. So, you know, I'm even considering doing some video vlogs for that in the future. So because of that, I can't really say I can do this every single day. But what I can say is I have genuinely enjoyed trying this out so much because there's been so much progress in terms of the ideas that have come in. I've been able to learn more about editing, content creation, and really, I think it's worth a try, even if you don't think it's something that's particularly... It's a challenging idea, let's put it that way. But it is a really fun, challenging idea. So I don't advocate anyone do this because everyone's going to be different, but I can genuinely say it's been a very interesting experiment. Thank you very much for watching and consider subscribing so that at least my 3am efforts can be worth it.